Welcome to this episode of the Willingdon on Mission podcast. My name is John. I'm one of the pastors at Willingdon Church, and this is episode number 3 of a 4-episode series with our missionary Kiana, who's our missionary of the month for October of 2024. Kiana, welcome.
Hello. I'm
Uh,
so honored to be here.
So if you have not, if those of you who are watching have not had the opportunity to catch the other 2 episodes, you can listen to this one and then catch the other 2. But I would encourage you to because they give you some of Kiana's life story and then also talk about her ministry with House of Omid. As these conversations progress, so do the topics and stuff. And so what we're going to talk about today is specifically the church in Iran. And many of us don't know very much about the church in Iran. Some of us have heard that the church in Iran is growing really fast, even though it's persecuted. And that might be the extent, that would be the extent of my knowledge, honestly. I just know it's good and hard. So, Kiana, can you just tell us something about the church in Iran? What are some of the joys? What are some of the challenges these days?
Of course. Well, as you mentioned, according to Operation World, the Iranian church is one of the fastest growing church in the world. That blows my mind. And more Iranians accepted the Lord in the past 15 years than the entire 1400 years of Islam history. Can you believe that? And
Wow.
so when I left the country, that was about the same time, like a couple months after I left the country in 2011, the building church that I was a member of got shut down. And soon after that, the other building church in Iran, in Tehran, in the city, the capital of Iran, the city that I was in, that got shut down. So that was the only 2 building churches that they were having service, holding service in Farsi in it at that time, and they both got shut down. So naturally, the church moved underground setting. So in a way that people would get together in groups of 7 to maximum 10 people, and they would disguise as we are getting together for a birthday party or this person's anniversary or this gathering. So they had to have be disguised, like have different reasons for these gatherings. And many people are today accepting the Lord through visions, dreams, miracles that are happening through these people who are going to these underground churches, sharing, going to the streets, literally putting their lives in their hands and sharing through their friends, their family, their coworkers. And that's how the church is growing. And they face persecution on daily basis. I feel like we just say that, but we can't really understand what that feels like and what that looks like. I was talking to one of my friends who is part of the underground church, and her wish is that she would one day be able to worship Jesus with all her strength and all her voice. Like as simple as worshiping Jesus with the loudest voice that you can get out of your mouth is a dream for them. It's something that they long for. And I feel like how much do I take it for granted that I can go to church every week and I can just worship freely without worrying about my neighbor hearing my voice or anything. And often underground church leaders are arrested, tortured, and killed in prison, and we don't even know about it. And the Iranian church is rejoicing through that, and that blows my mind. Um, I was talking to a family member of someone. Sorry, I can't give a lot of details, but someone who's currently in jail right now. And she was telling me that um, my husband is just so happy and I can't understand it. And she's crying. I'm like, what do you mean your husband's happy? How does that make sense? And she's like, yeah, last time I was talking to him, he was like, I'm finally out of solitary and I'm in a cell that in the whole section, like the whole level, all the cells are filled with Christians. So we have our own church inside the jail. And I get to worship Lord with my brothers in there. And they feed off of each other's memory verses. So they just share whatever verse they remember, and they all build each other's faith through that. And they're sharing the gospel to all the guards and other prisoners. And that's their joy. They're happy that they get to do that and they don't need to worry about anything because they're already in jail. What else can happen there? So I feel like a lot of times we don't understand the extent of persecution, the word persecution. What does that mean? What does that look like? And how are people living through that? But when I was talking to her, she was like, my son, who is going to school, is watching other kids getting picked up by their dad. And every day that he comes home and somebody knocks on the door or somebody rings the phone home, immediately he jumps at me. Is it daddy? Is it daddy? And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is very dear to my heart because our brothers and sisters are living through that, and instead of complaining about being in that situation, they're rejoicing through all that persecution. It reminds me of Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, that he talks about boasting about the persecution and what they're going through, and that they're honored, they're happy that they're going through that for our Lord Jesus. And through all of that, people's heart is open and the church is growing rapidly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like there's probably hours and hours of exploration that we could do around the church in Iran and issues of persecution and how that actually makes the church flourish. And how in the midst of persecution there can be joy. Persecution is not something that the Canadian church knows very much about, right? And
Yeah.
and so we've got much to learn about um, how how to actually handle persecution, but also um, how to live within the midst of persecution should it come. But we can also be deeply encouraged by our brothers and sisters who are experiencing it and who are standing strong and who are flourishing and sharing their faith. It's beautiful. If somebody wanted to learn more about the church in Iran or the persecuted church, what are a couple of options for gaining some more understanding?
Of course. So I think the easiest one would be to sign up to be part of our confidential mailing list that we will send out confidential updates about the underground church, about the movement, about our operation. And it's easy to do. They can go on our website, houseofmeat.ca, or they can get my information from you and shoot me an email. I will be happy to share. And also, I think another one would be to attend our gala, October 26th. We are going to have a gala, and this gala is actually focused on our work with the persecuted church. And you will hear from our keynote speaker, who I am so excited to have him. He has experienced persecution firsthand himself, and you will find out how to be directly involved if you wish. that would be amazing. Also, I want to like our November 1st dessert mission dessert night, and you will have a chance to see rare, real footage of our underground church network and their story of persecution and triumph. And I think that would be very extraordinary to be able to see that documentary. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So, just to reiterate, I want to reiterate one thing and then clarify one thing. So, the first reiteration is November 1st, Willingdon is hosting a missions dessert night focused on the persecuted church. And so please come. Also 26th of, I'm not exactly sure when we're releasing this particular episode, but the 26th is a gala. And then on the 27th, it's a House of Omid gala. Then on the 27th, the keynote speaker is actually preaching at Willingdon, so you'll get a chance to hear from him. And then the following Friday, November 1st, we'll have another event with a documentary with some real footage of the underground church. So please sign up. The clarification that I want to make is the word underground church. So this is a term that's very commonly used when we talk about secret churches, churches that aren't in traditional church buildings. I just wanted to say that's what it is. It doesn't mean like they dug a hole underground and they're in a cave necessarily. Maybe they are sometimes in a cave, but it more means we're under the radar. We're under the we're trying not to draw attention to ourselves. So yeah. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this particular episode, third episode of a 4-episode series. And thank you, Kiana, for giving us this glimpse.
Thank you.